Star Wars has always held an integral part of my life. It has provided me with memories that I'll always cherish and remember, lessons that have shaped who I am, merchandise that's probably really stupid and unnecessary to have, but I've grown such a strong attachment to some of these overly expensive and daft items because of what they mean to me. They bring out the fun side, the enjoyable side, the sentimental side where every franchise wishes to bring out with every fan. Back in the Christmas of 2009, I finally remember receiving the LEGO Star Wars Battle of Endor, which my brother and I played with constantly and just enjoying something that wouldn't have existed had Star Wars not been conceptualized, or even as remotely as popular as it grew to be. I remember pleading with my mom when I was younger to buy me a pair of Star Wars Clone Wars pajamas when we were at Kohl's one day, and, through my profound restraint tactics, aka just putting it back in the cart whenever she attempted to discard it out of frustration, she budged. I remember playing the LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars video game every morning back in 2011, basking in the glory of having the capability to control my own massive clone fleet and trying to consolidate power and never accepted its forces try to invade. And what was even more astonishing about the LEGO Clone Wars video game was how you could play missions as a separatist, as a bad guy, something so innovative and revolutionary for my feeble 8-year-old mind. And Star Wars supplied me and millions upon millions of other individuals with beloved entertainment. The Clone Wars, the original trilogy, and the prequels, which despite its flaws, had some of the best action scenes of the entire series. All of these memories, all of these experiences that left me always adoring this amazing franchise led to the culmination. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Just like the Toy Story 4, just like with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I was cynical about the conclusion to the Skywalker saga after watching the trailers. With Toy Story 4, I was apprehensive as to how they can continue this animated thriller franchise after such a satisfying conclusion in Toy Story 3. With Spider-Verse, I resented the animation style for feeling so different in outline, since I was a Conformist 3 blockbuster kind of guy last year. But you know what? I ended up loving both movies. Toy Story 4 made me realize that there's always more to the story of any seemingly deceased franchise that can be vital to the subsequent plot. And Spider-Verse made me have a intense gratification for animated films that don't have standard stylizations like Frozen, and even the Toy Story saga for that matter. If it wasn't for the creativity of Spider-Verse, I would probably not have admired films like Claws that try to overcome conformity and attempt to construct a new mold. So I felt reassured that I was going to love The Rise of Skywalker from those instances. For the most part, however. Allow me to introduce you to the Fandom Menace, a term used to describe the hostile, vicious, vengeful group of individuals that are simply frustrated with the direction of Star Wars. They crave for a change. They want Disney Star Wars to be what they envisioned for the direction of Star Wars for years, decades perhaps even. People like the Quartering, like world-class bullshitters, are who I consider to be the leaders of these online writers who bombed The Last Jedi, people who boycotted Solo successfully and made it flop. As a teenage boy with hormones and toxic masculinity who just wants what he loves to thrive, I've grown agitated with them, grown to disassociate myself with this group of Star Wars fans who are endeavoring to alter the franchise through irrational, immature fashions. But most importantly, I was concerned that they're going to loathe another sequel trilogy film and perpetuate the process of Star Wars for yet another interminable 2 years. Sorry for getting sidetracked, but I'm grateful to have loved The Rise of Skywalker. However, it's complicated. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker feels like, and I apologize for this poor analogy, Sour Patch Kids cereal or any candy branded cereal to me. Personally, I think that Sour Patch Kids cereal is scrumptious, although that just seems kind of too sophisticated a term to describe cereal, but it's undoubtedly strange. And I just feel as though this is the best way to describe Episode 9. So strange, so peculiar, so dumb, yet unexpectedly pleasing for the most part. And fulfilling? I don't know if I can even consider it fulfilling when so many aspects of The Rise of Skywalker are stupid. I don't think it's necessary to mention this, but this is a spoiler review. Okay? Good. So first dumb thing, bringing Palpatine back. Yes, he confirmed it himself that Anakin killed him after he plummeted down the entry shaft in Return of the Jedi, but he's back in the flesh.
Yes, he was injured detrimentally, but again, he's back in the flesh after falling down an energy shaft that exploded, might add, and then the planet-killing machine that housed the exploding energy shaft exploded afterwards. But he cloned himself, which, by the way, clone was declared to be a Sith ordeal, even though non-foreign sets of sentient beings like the Kaminoans produced them, and Palpatine's spirit survived. He can still lash out force lightning, he still sounds like a heavy smoker, he still slash back, my point being that every single quality of Palpatine survived. You know what's even worse about that? It's completely unexplained since so much occurs in 2.5 hours time span of the Rise of Skywalker. There's the Wayfinder, there's Ben Solo's redemption, there's the explanation of Rey's heritage and why she's immensely powerful in the Force, there's artifacts hunting, there's a continuation of the concept of Stormtrooper defection of Janna. There's too much crammed into this movie. And that chaos downgrades the movie since so much, too much, is abandoned and leaves traces of more questions than answers. And there's also a handful of contradictions scattered throughout the story, which really emphasize the fact that J.J. Abrams and the storyboards are not controlled accurately. Abrams evidently wanted to make a story that is a continuation of his own work, neglecting the fact that it had to make sense. Like Chewbacca gets bestowed a Yavin Medal by Maz Kanata during the celebration at the end, but he already did in canon in the comic. Luke's X-Wing is perfectly intact after he pulls it out of the sea for Rey to travel to Exegol, but one of Luke's X-Foils was dismantled in order to create the door for his hut, so it had to be at least partially destroyed. And Poe being part of the Resistance after losing the Spice Running game led by Zoe Bliss? That didn't happen. A young adult book confirmed that he was involved in the Republican Navy before being recruited by Leia to join the Resistance. All of these retcons confuse me. Were they made for fan service? Plot convenience? Because that's what it feels like, not just some sort of positive aspect of the story. And the pacing was expectedly horrendous for a movie this large. The first act alone could have been its own movie, and the second and third acts combined could have been its own separate film. I'm not going to divulge upon that subject since I feel as though my reasons previously explained the pacing problem that I have, but just be aware of it. I'll say, however, that the third act did decelerate the speed exponentially, and it took its time to show a satisfying aerial brawl and an actually awesome duel between Palpatine versus Ben and Rey. Oh, Ben and Rey. Ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Reylo is official. Battered and on the verge of death, the redeemed Ben Solo and Rey kiss after vanquishing Palpatine hopefully once and for all. I don't have a problem with them kissing, needless to say, but I have a problem with it being incesty since Rey and Ben are technically being related. Remember, Palpatine did influence the midichlorians so that Shmi could immaculately conceive Anakin, so Palpatine is essentially the father of Anakin, and Anakin is the grandfather of Kylo.
There. You see them, don't you? Bloody hell!
Alright, do I have any more criticisms? No? Okay, good, I can finally explain why I love it. So despite my confusion, my criticisms, my hatred towards certain aspects of The Rise of Skywalker, there's so much about this movie that I was quite content with, whether it's specific scenes, characters, messages, or just general revelations. Firstly, I'm just glad that Snoke was nothing more than a puppet manipulated by Palpatine. I never liked him. I never understood the hype surrounding him following The Force Awakens, and his traits in movies aren't really beneficial either. All he was a decrepit, ruined old alien thing that was just overly cocky. He always seemed like an inferior version of Palpatine, which is kind of comical considering the fact that he did create Snoke and a bunch of duplicates of him in this back tank thing with some weird yellow substance swirling inside it. Since we're on the topic of characters, the new ones introduced in this movie are, for the most part, standouts. Dio was surprisingly endearing. I mean, I anticipated for him to be adorable since he's a quaint droid with a bullhorn for a head, but he carried much more emotional weight and significance than expected. He was on a ship that Rey's parents took in order to protect her from Palpatine, and was shortly after deactivated for enigmatic reasons. Zoe Bliss was probably the weakest of the new characters, primarily since she was the least prevalent out of the three major inductees. But she was alright and gave Poe some neat character development. Turning gears now, Jaina was the best new character, and honestly one of my favorite sequel trilogy characters. Just like Finn, she's a defected First Order Stormtrooper, which got me excited that we may have gotten an uprising subplot somehow strewn into the story. While that was not given, I like how she seemed more militarily trained than Finn, which made her seem much more viable than him in the final battle, and also played a nice counterpart to Lando. I'm also ecstatic that Ben Solo's redemption was as greatly executed as it was in Rise of Skywalker. Mainly, this is possible because of my favorite scene from the entire movie, where Kylo Ren dies metaphorically as Leia dies sacrificing the essence in order to bring back her son. Ben Solo is then revived and healed by Rey, who feels that he is now a changed man. After Rey departs the southern moon of Endor and Kylo Ren's TIE Whisperer, Ben is confronted by Han Solo in a standoff that is eerily similar to the previous one in Episode 7. Instead of brutally stabbing his father this time, however, Ben launches his lightsaber into the ocean, officially rejoins the light side. If that doesn't scream beautiful to you, if you're not moved by the scene where the death of Leia, represented by the light side, sacrifices itself in order to diminish the power of the dark side, then you're just a monster with no feelings. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. And for some reason, I just like the final order. Not the concept of the existence, since that's iffy, but just the fact that they're all red makes me giddy. Like, armor is just awesome in red, and that applies to every single applicable instance in Star Wars. The Royal Guards, the Praetorian Guards, Fox's men in the Clone Wars, and now the Sith Troopers and Jet Troopers. Please, Star Wars, make more blank merchandise cash grabs and make more Red Boys. And that's all I have to say about The Rise of Skywalker. I love a lot about it, but I also dislike a lot about it. I'm honestly very torn in Episode 9. I don't know if it's considered a self-sustaining conclusion to the epic Skywalker saga, but it did enough right that it was exciting and almost always putting a grin on my face, whether it was for positive or negative reasons. However, I just can't give it anything higher than a C-. It's alright, it's not anything astonishing, it's not anything mind-blowing, and it didn't subvert my expectations, but it still gets the job done enough. I'm just glad that there's so much more to be excited about in this franchise in order to remove this partially sour taste from my mouth. The Mandalorian, Clone Wars Season 7, the new books, and the Kenobi series. Oh, and Babu Frick. Hey, wait, whoa. What are you doing, you little shithead?